Never imagined that the man I loved for 8 years would choose her. My best friend, the same woman who stood beside me on my wedding day. The betrayal didn't break me instantly, it transformed me. I used to believe love was unbreakable, that vows meant forever. But forever ended the day I caught my husband holding the woman I called my best friend. That night, everything I trusted shattered: my marriage, my friendship, even my reflection in the mirror. He said he found happiness with her, as if happiness was something you could steal from another woman's heart. They laughed, flaunted their new love, and even invited me to their wedding, just to prove I had lost. I didn't cry in front of them. I smiled, the kind of smile that hides a storm. They thought I would crumble. They thought I'd disappear quietly, broken and humiliated. But I didn't. I rose from the ashes of betrayal and planned something they never saw coming. This isn't just a story of pain, it's a story of karma, patience, and power. Because when love turns into betrayal, silence can become the loudest revenge. Before I continue this story, I want to ask you something. Have you ever trusted someone so deeply that their betrayal almost destroyed you? If your answer is yes, then this story is for you. I tell stories that come from real hearts, stories of love, betrayal, and strength that remind us we're not alone. Because sometimes, the people we'd take a bullet for are the ones pulling the trigger. And when that happens, we don't just survive, we rise. So if you've ever loved too hard, forgiven too easily, or broken quietly while pretending to be strong, stay. This story will speak to you. It will make you cry, it will make you angry, but by the end, you'll understand why everything happened the way it did. Don't forget to like, share, and follow if you love true emotional stories that hit deep. Drop a red heart # in the comments if you've ever had to rebuild yourself after betrayal. Because tonight, I'm about to tell you how a broken woman turned her pain into power. And made her betrayers live to regret it. My name is Amelia Carter, a 32-year-old nurse living in Atlanta, Georgia, a quiet suburb where neighbors wave good morning, and everyone believes in fairy tales that end in forever. At least, that's what I believed too. My husband, Michael, was the kind of man every woman dreamed of. Tall, confident, and gentle in a way that made you feel safe just standing next to him. We met when I was in nursing school, and he was working at a local construction firm. He used to wait for me after night shifts with coffee in hand and that boyish grin that could melt away exhaustion. To me, he was home, my peace after every long, tiring day. Then there was Tasha, my best friend since high school. The kind of friend who knew every detail of my life, every argument, every joy, every tear. She was loud, funny, beautiful, and always the life of any room she walked into. I trusted her with everything, even my husband's secrets, even my marriage. Our lives seemed perfect. We had dinners together, celebrated birthdays, went on double dates, and called ourselves family. But what I didn't know was that behind those laughs and hugs, a story of betrayal was already being written. And I was the last to read it. I met Michael 7 years ago on one of those nights that don't seem special until they change your life forever. I had just finished a late shift at the hospital, exhausted, drenched from the rain, and desperate to get home. But my old car decided that was the perfect moment to die right in the middle of an empty street. As I stood there, frustrated and cold, a black pickup truck slowed beside me. "Need a hand?" a warm voice called out. That was Michael. He jumped out, jacket soaked, hands cold, but his smile was pure sunshine in the middle of that storm. He helped fix my car, followed me home to make sure I got there safe, and before he left, he said, "I don't know if this was luck or fate, but I hope I see you again." And he did every single day after that. He'd show up at the hospital with lunch, wait outside during my night shifts, and little by little, he became the calm I never knew I needed. We fell into love effortlessly, the kind that felt meant to be. By the time we got married 2 years later, I thought I'd found my forever. And I truly believed he'd found his too. Then came Tasha. She was my world long before Michael came into it, my best friend, my sister by heart. When she met him, they clicked instantly. I was happy that two people I loved could get along so well. She became our third wheel, our laughter, our home's extra warmth. But sometimes, the people closest to you aren't there to love you. They're there to learn how to hurt you. Perfectly. Falling in love with Michael felt like breathing, natural, effortless, and comforting. He had this way of making ordinary moments feel special. He'd leave little notes in my lunchbox, send flowers to the hospital just to say, "You're doing amazing," and call me his everyday miracle. On weekends, we'd take long drives to nowhere. Sometimes we'd end up at a quiet lake, other times a random diner, but it never mattered where we were, it only mattered that we were together. He wasn't rich, but he worked hard. We built everything from scratch, a small apartment, second-hand furniture, dreams bigger than our wallets. But love made it enough. When he proposed, it wasn't in front of a crowd or on camera, it was in our tiny kitchen, with flour on his face and pancakes burning on the stove. He looked at me and said, "I may not have much, Amelia, but I promise you'll never face life alone." I said yes before he even finished. Our wedding was simple, intimate, and full of laughter. And standing beside me as my maid of honor was my best friend Tasha. She looked radiant that day, even teary-eyed as she helped me fix my veil. She hugged me before I walked down the aisle and whispered, "You're the luckiest woman alive." At that moment, I believed her. After the wedding, Tasha became a regular at our home. She'd drop by unannounced, bring wine, or crash on the couch after a long day. Michael and I didn't mind, she was family. She made him laugh in ways I couldn't, with jokes that had history. Sometimes, I'd watch them talk and feel lucky to have two people who loved me that much. There were moments, though, that felt different. The way their eyes met and lingered just a second too long. The way conversations stopped when I walked into the room. I'd brush it off, telling myself I was just tired or overthinking. After all, this was Tasha, my sister, my best friend. And Michael, my husband, my heart. What reason would they have to hurt me? Love blinded me so deeply that I didn't see the storm forming right in front of me. While I was busy building our future, they were quietly rewriting my story behind my back. It started with small things, little shifts that didn't make sense at first. Michael became quieter, distant. He stopped waiting up for me after night shifts. His warm texts turned into short replies, and our laughter slowly faded into awkward silence. I told myself he was just stressed. Work had been tough, and I didn't want to nag. But deep down, something felt wrong. Then there was Tasha. She began showing up more often, even when I wasn't home. Sometimes, I'd come back from work and find her cooking dinner with him, wearing one of my aprons, humming to the same songs I used to play. When I'd ask how long she'd been there, she'd laugh it off and say, "Oh, just keeping your man company till you got home." I forced a smile, pretending it didn't sting. But the signs grew harder to ignore. She started knowing things she shouldn't, private arguments, details only Michael and I had discussed. Once, I caught them exchanging glances during dinner. It was quick, subtle, but enough to send a chill through my chest. Still, I told myself, they'd never do that to me. I had known her since I was 17. I trusted her more than my own shadow. One night, while cleaning up after a small get-together, I found a lipstick stain on Michael's wine glass, a shade I didn't own. It was hers. I held the glass in my hand, my fingers trembling, but I couldn't say a word. I wasn't ready to face the truth. Then came the night that changed everything. Michael said he was going on a business trip. 2 days later, Tasha posted a picture on Instagram, her hand holding a champagne glass, with a familiar hotel interior behind her. I stared at the photo for nearly an hour, zooming in, my heart breaking more with every second. It was the same hotel Michael said he was staying in. That's when the denial ended. My world didn't explode loudly, it broke silently, piece by piece. I didn't confront them immediately. I smiled, I cooked, I kissed him goodnight. But inside, I began preparing. Not for a fight, for proof. Because if they thought they could betray me and live happily ever after, they had no idea who I truly was. The night I finally caught them is one I'll never forget. It was a Friday, the same day Michael told me he'd be working late. Something inside me whispered, "Follow him." I don't know if it was instinct, pain, or God himself, but I listened. I drove behind him, keeping my distance. He turned off the main road and stopped at a small restaurant outside town, one I didn't recognize. From my car, I watched him walk in. A few minutes later, she arrived. Tasha. Dressed in a red dress, the same one I helped her pick for my anniversary dinner last year. They sat close, laughing like strangers in love. He touched her hand across the table, and she didn't pull away. That was the moment my heart finally shattered. Not from anger, but from realization. The two people I trusted most had turned my world into a cruel joke. I didn't confront them there. I left. Calmly. Quietly. Tears burned down my face as I drove home, but my mind was no longer weak. It was clear, sharp, dangerous. When he came home that night, smelling of perfume that wasn't mine, I was waiting. He froze when he saw the packed bags by the door. "Where are you going?" he asked. I looked at him, and for the first time, I didn't see my husband. I saw a liar who destroyed something sacred. "Where you've already been," I replied. He didn't deny it. He just sighed, sat down, and said, "Amelia, I love her. I'm sorry." Those words cut deeper than a knife. My best friend's name tasted like poison on his tongue. A week later, the divorce papers arrived. He moved in with Tasha almost immediately. They paraded their love online, posting pictures, acting like they'd won. Friends pitied me. Some said, "You'll find someone better." But I didn't want someone better. I wanted peace and justice. Months passed. I disappeared from their lives, but quietly, I started to move. Michael's construction business? Half of it was registered under my name, something he'd forgotten. And Tasha? She worked at a beauty firm where I happened to know the owner's wife. I didn't fight loudly. I didn't curse or expose them. I simply let the truth find its way through quiet conversations, through timing, through patience. By the time their wedding came, I sat in the back row, watching them exchange vows built on lies. They smiled proudly, but I smiled too because I already knew what was coming. They thought they'd won the battle. They had no idea I was planning the war. Months turned into a year, and silence became my greatest weapon. While they flaunted their perfect love on social media, I stayed invisible, calm, quiet, and calculating. I wasn't trying to destroy them out of anger. I simply wanted them to feel what I felt, the pain of losing everything you thought would last forever. It started with Michael's company. During our marriage, I helped him build it. I handled paperwork, contracts, finances, things he never paid attention to. So when he left, he assumed I'd walk away from everything too. He forgot that my name was still on most of the legal documents. I waited until they had spent nearly all their savings on their grand wedding and new house. Then, with a single email to my lawyer, I withdrew my consent from his company's major contracts. Overnight, half of his projects froze. His business partners panicked, investors pulled out, and soon, Michael was drowning in debts he couldn't handle. While he fought to fix the mess, Tasha's world started cracking too. She had used her perfect wife image to climb the social ladder at her workplace. But I quietly sent the company a copy of some old screenshots, messages she had sent to Michael while he was still married to me. Within days, whispers began. By the end of the week, she was fired for unprofessional conduct. The power couple everyone envied started falling apart, publicly, painfully. Their pictures stopped. Their smiles faded. And one night, I received a text from an unknown number. It was Michael. "I made a mistake," he wrote. "Tasha and I aren't together anymore. I wish I had listened to you." For a moment, I felt that old ache tug at my chest. But it wasn't love, it was closure. So I replied, simply, "We all live with the choices we make." After that, I blocked his number and never looked back. My life didn't become instantly perfect, but it became peaceful. I bought a small home near the lake where we used to go, started a new job at a private clinic, and began healing. Some nights, I still think about what happened, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Because without their betrayal, I would have never learned how powerful silence can be. Sometimes, revenge isn't fire and fury. It's watching karma arrive slowly, elegantly, and without you lifting a single finger. Used to think strength meant holding on, fighting to keep love alive even when it hurt. But I learned that sometimes, real strength means letting go, and walking away with your dignity intact. People often ask if I ever regret what I did, the silence, the revenge, the calm destruction of what they built. And the truth is, I don't. Because it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming the pieces of myself they tried to break. When someone betrays you, they expect you to fall apart, to beg, to cry, to lose yourself. But what they never expect is for you to stand tall, smile, and keep living better than before. That's the real revenge. Michael and Tasha taught me that love can turn poisonous when built on lies. But they also taught me something far greater, that healing doesn't come from hurting others, it comes from realizing they can no longer hurt you. I've learned to be thankful for every closed door, every broken promise, and every goodbye that didn't make sense at the time. Because sometimes, those heartbreaks are the universe's way of leading you back to yourself. So if you've ever been betrayed, remember this. You don't need to scream for justice. You don't need to beg for apologies. Just rise, rebuild, and let time reveal what truth always does. That karma never misses an address. If this story touched your heart, take a deep breath right now, and remember, you are stronger than what broke you. Sometimes, the people we love the most become the lesson we never wanted but truly needed. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, a friend, a lover, or both, drop a red heart hash in the comments. Share your story, your scars, or even just a single word that says, I survived. Because your story might be the light someone else needs tonight. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true emotional stories that speak from the soul. I tell these stories not just to entertain, but to remind us all that pain doesn't define us. It refines us. And to every woman who's ever been lied to, left, or underestimated, keep your head high. Because sometimes, walking away quietly is the loudest revenge you'll ever take. Thank you for listening. And remember, real love doesn't destroy you, it builds you. And when someone tries to break your heart, God will always hand you the pieces, so you can rebuild something even more beautiful.